So this is the start of the guitar, and what we're doing now is cutting the fretboard at the very end. So we've marked it up and we're very carefully cutting as close to the edge as possible, and we've also got to afterwards cut this end off because the total length of the guitar is going to be about 560. So from this plank of wood we cut the end off like so. This piece is waste. This piece over here will glue on here, and this piece here will glue on there, and then basically that's how it's looking now once that's all glued together. So we've just wood glued that now, and as soon as that wood glue's gone off we can give it a bit of a rub down to level off any surfaces before we carry on. So now we've mounted the guitar shape onto this milling tool, and we're going to put a router part, one of these ones, into a pillar drill and route out the shapes that are necessary. Idea the nut on the end, and the pickup, and also the bridge section that needs to go in here, and also where the keys actually come in from the side to tighten the strings, string tensioners. So I've marked up all the parts that need to be routed out and drilled, and we've already clamped it on, and we've routed out the part for the nut, which just now slides in there, and so now we're going to route out the rest. So we pretty much finished routing it now, as far as we're going to go before we need to string it up and put all the metalwork on it. And this is the other side, so you can see that's all now been smoothed off. There's obviously a lot of rubbing down needs to be done to finish it, but now we're going to fit the string tensioners, the nut and the bridge, put some strings on it. We're not going to fit the pickup yet. We're going to put some strings on it and see where the frets need to be. We've got measurements for where the frets need to be, but we just want to make sure that if we do put them there, it's going to be correct. So we're just using 2 blocks just to make sure the blade stays straight, and cutting down until the blade reaches on the top. And that's the fret cut. Moving on to the next one. So we're just now tapping the frets in. We've measured them to make sure they're in order. Just get them started, and then tap them home, and then we just need to file off the edges where there's a little bit of roughness there. So on the string length adjustment, what we've had to do is to remove all the springs, because we've mounted it in a reverse way because we had no choice but to do it like that, and we've replaced those springs with lock nuts. So now we can turn the screw and the string length can be increased and decreased. On the one where the spring version was, as we tightened in the screw, the spring would crush and the screw would just poke out the front and the string would remain the same length, hence doing it this way. So I've just soldered on the phono plug, and the reason we're using this is so that the depth of the hole that we produce into the guitar is only this deep, as opposed to a normal jack socket, which would probably be 3 times the length of this. So now we've filed it off on the back as much as we can, as much as we feel happy with. We've smoothed it off with some sandpaper, and now we're going to put some oil onto it. So that's now had its first coat of oil, true oil, and we're going to wait for that to go off and clear off any excess, and probably have another couple of coats. So the guitar's had a few coats of true oil, and now we're going to start rebuilding it back up. And the first thing we're going to show is the nut being fitted, and that just slides in there with 2 screws going in here. Once that's in, we'll move back and do some of the string tensioners. And the next part is the string tensioners, and these just slide in these holes. It's actually quite a good fit. Making sure you've got the 3 left and 3 right versions. And then we just need to put the 6 screws in to hold them in place. So once all the screws are down on the tuning pegs, then the next thing is the bridge, and I've made a few extra changes to the bridge, and we've now got hex heads in here, so we can put a ball Allen key in there to adjust them. It's because we've had to sink it down quite low that we've had to use that, but that literally just slides in there. Make sure they're all up the right way, and that pushes down. And then finally this goes over the pickup and just clicks into place. So we'll get that in and screw that down. So stringing it up is quite straightforward. You literally start with the first 2 strings, whether it's the low E or the high E. Put the little catch sections in here. They're just a place for them to be, and then you literally just tighten down and clamp on the strings. Once you've done those 2, you can pull those taut down the guitar and then work on the next 2, and then finally the last 2. One thing that is worth doing is putting a bit of wax from a candle on the little roller here, or the little barrel part where it goes over, and also on this wood section. You can either put it on the wood or actually on the string that goes round that, just to add as a bit of lubricant, because actually it has to stretch round the wood and come back. So in order to reduce the stresses of the main part of the stretch of the string being from the tuner to the wood, before it actually gets across the guitar, if you make this part as slippery as possible, it slides through a lot better, and it actually makes it work a lot better. And this is how the strings look from the back when it's strung up, and we're just going to tune it up now. And this shows the 2 guitars, sort of standard size acoustic guitar, and the other one side by side. So you can see it's considerably shorter.